kiss for you.
I am Aditya Onu. We are going to study about one basic branch of biology, that is cytology. Now, cytology is that branch of science in which we study about the cells. Now, cell is a very interesting topic and one of the basics of biology. Now, today we'll study what is how was it discovered and how it is brought to us. In our later videos, we would be discussing about its structures, its constituents, and what it is really meant for. Now, when we talk about the discovery of cell, the first scientist who was involved in it was Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Now, Antony van Leeuwenhoek definitely was an optician. That means the ones who made glasses, spectacles, and all such things. So when he made apparatus that means devices that we used in science for dealing with experiments and all such things. Apparatus which is known as the simple microscope. Now, with this simple microscope, he observed a drop of water, and in which he saw some substances which were looking like this. Okay, so actually they were the microorganisms. That is single-celled organisms. What are they? We'll also study about it in another video. So therefore, by accidentally, but he discovered the first living cell. He observed the first living cell. Therefore, he is not called father of cytology, but he is called father of microbiology, because microbiology means study of microbes. So accidentally he observed microbes. Therefore, we call him as the father of microbiology. So that is all about Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Now, the apparatus that was invented by him was a simple microscope. And why it is called simple? Because it uses simple biconvex lens. Sideways you can see who was Antony van Leeuwenhoek and what apparatus did he make. You can see it is a rectangular apparatus at the top and there is a stick like something. So definitely it is a simple microscope, and in those days that technology was not so advanced, so the microscope which you see in your laboratories and all that is different from this simple microscope. Then now we move on to the next scientist who is associated with the discovery of the cell. His name is Robert Hooke. Now, Robert Hooke actually coined this term cell. Now, actually, we have after Antony van Leeuwenhoek, he saw those organisms in that droplet of water. He called them animalcules. Animalcules. So you can see cules. Okay, he called them animalcules. He did not name them as a cell or a microbe or a microorganism. He called them as animalcules. But Robert Hooke, he used this term cell. Now, the apparatus that was invented by Robert Hooke was also a microscope, but this time it was something advanced from the earlier microscope. Therefore, due to its complexion, that means due to the advancement that was made in a microscope, and it looks very similar to the ones you use in the laboratory. So this is known as the compound microscope. Okay, so compound microscope. Now, compound microscope, alongside you can see who was Robert Hooke and the microscope or the apparatus that was invented by him. Now it looks like the one we used to see in our science laboratories. That is a compound microscope. One thing to be kept in mind, that Robert Hooke did not observe a living cell. So till now the fact about what is a living cell was not clear, because he observed dead cells, cork cells. Cork is a material that is usually as a occurs when woods and all those become very old. So then it becomes cork. So cork he observed, and he looked, had chambers of cells, like this you will observe, and the walls that were present in each of the cell was very thickened at the corners, and nothing was inside. Okay, why? Because everything inside has dried up. After a cell dies, everything inside a cell dies. What is left is the wall and that. So he observed this. So the conclusions that were made by it was that he saw chambers, very darkened chambers at the boundaries, and nothing was inside those small blocks. So that was the final thing that was made by Robert Hooke. Now we move on to the third and the latest microscope, that is electron microscope. Electron microscope. Now microscope. Now this electron microscope, scientists involved are two scientists, Knoll and Ruska. Living cells are observed by this microscope. Okay, so this is the electron microscope, and living cells were observed. Then we have established what are the properties of a cell after these microscopes were invented. So these are very much clear. Now few things to be kept in mind while studying about a comparative study of these three microscopes, that is the simple microscope, the compound microscope, and the electron microscope. The magnification power. Now magnification power, it means how much you can magnify. That is something very clear to the zoom pattern that we have in our cameras. Okay, that 1 into 1.6 into 3.2 into, like this. So the magnification power of the simple microscope was 100 to 200 times. That means it can magnify something up to a limit of 200. But this was increased in the compound microscope. That was about 2000 times. So 2000 times it can magnify a certain parameter or certain cells and something like. But electron microscope, it is 2 lakh times. 2 lakh times. So the electron microscope's magnification power is that of 2 lakh times. Now why is electron microscope known as electron microscope? Now when we look on simple microscope, it uses a natural source of light as a source of light. That means any natural source, oil lamp, like for example compound microscope, first we used an oil lamp. So again a natural source of light. So in both the cases we use natural source of light for attaining that magnification. But in case of an electron microscope, we use beams of electrons. Most probably you have studied about what is an electron. Electron is a constituent or subatomic particle that revolves around the nucleus of an atom. So those beams of electrons, beams means, you can see it like this, the beams of electrons, we call these as beams of electrons. So beams of electrons are used as the source of light, and they are bent by the magnets. So magnets, they possess some charge, electrons, so magnets can bend them. So this is how we attain magnification in case of an electron microscope. So that's why it is known as an electron microscope. So we move on to an end of about the microscope study you need to understand. Okay, so is it clear about all the three microscopes? Now we move on to our next topic, that is cell theory. Now cell theory is one of the most important topics when we study about cytology. Now many facts were discovered in past centuries. Now these facts were kept together, and two scientists, the Matthias Jacob Sladen and he was a zoologist. And Theodore Swan. It is not Swan, it's Swan. Swan. Theodore Swan and Matthias Jacob Schleiden. That means Matthias Jacob Schleiden was a zoologist and Theodore Swan was a botanist. So both of them put their thoughts together and all the discoveries that were made in the past years, and they propounded or formulated or formed the cell theory. Now, cell theory consists of three important factors. Now, before looking what was the cell theory, let us see the pictures of those two scientists who proposed the cell theory. Here they are. So, you can see on the right hand side Matthias Jacob Schleiden, and on the left hand side you can see Theodore Swan. Now, the 3 points that were propounded or made in the cell theory, initial cell theory. Cell is the structural unit of life. Why structural unit of life? Because every living organism, it is made up of cells. Cell is called the functional unit of life. Why? Because each and every life activity, it is carried out by cell. So that's why it is known as the functional unit of life. Now, the third point is cell is a mass of protoplasm containing nucleus and other cell organelles bounded by a cell membrane or a cell wall in a plant cell. That means what is protoplasm, what is nucleus, what is cell membrane, what is cell wall, plant cell, all these things we'll encounter when we move on to the other part of the chapter, that means in my next video. So therefore these 3 points are to be remembered, that cell is the structural unit of life, cell is the functional unit of life, and cell is the mass of protoplasm containing nucleus and other cell organelles bounded by a cell wall and cell wall in a plant cell. After we have studied the cell theory, one important thing is left. Where do these cells come from? How we have many cells in our body? How do these cells come from? Where do these cells come? This was an important question that was arose where after the cell theory was proposed by Matthias Jacob Schleiden and Theodore Swan. So this problem solution was brought about by Sir Rudolf Karl Virchow. He stated the most important point of the cell theory, that each cell arises from a pre-existing cell. Then, after he made this advancement in the old cell theory, the cell theory is now known as cell principles or modern cell theory. Now, this was a very important discovery and a very important fact that was added in the old cell theory. So now it is known as modern cell theory or the cell principles. This is in some of the books you will find that the points of the cell theory are: the cell is the structural unit of life, the functional unit of life, and the third point would be its cell arises from a pre-existing cell. But actually the original cell theory has a third point: cell is a mass of protoplasm consisting of nucleus and other cell organelles and bounded by a cell membrane or a cell wall in a plant cell. So these are the original facts of the cell theory, and after this fact was added, it is known as the cell principles or the modern cell. Now let us discuss some give reasonings that can come from the video which I made today. Number 1, a simple microscope is called simple. Why? Simple microscope is called simple because it uses single biconvex lens, only 1 point. Secondly, cell is the structural unit of life. Why cell is a structural unit of life? Because our body and each of the living bodies, they are made up of cells. That's why it is known as the structural unit of life. The third reason, cell is the functional unit of life. Cell is called the functional unit of life because each and every life activity, all the functions of our body, it is carried out by cells. That's why it is known as the functional unit of life. Fourth reasoning electron microscope is called electron microscope because beams of electron are used as the source of light in an electron microscope. All for today. If you think that I was able to build your concept and we were here to learn something new, then please like my video and subscribe my channel Study with Aditya. Thank you.